Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thanks so much. Wow. It's just so happy to see. I'm so happy to see every single one of you. To see expressions. We've got a really special program for you, and I know we should get right to it, but I just want to tell you just briefly how it came to happen. It's a little bit of an interesting journey. So I actually had this idea last year and was hoping to pull it off in the summer. So here we are a year later. Sometimes it takes a little time for things to come to fruition. And fortunately, it dawned on me at the beginning of this year to ask this gentleman, Mr. Ernie McCray, to be a part of this. I'd always envisioned an afternoon of poetry and jazz.
He's a smart man.
Smart to some extent, because it didn't occur to me right away. So thank goodness we didn't do it last year, because it would have been without Ernie, which would have been a big mistake, as you will hear, and as many of you already know. And I'd always intended to ask Yolanda Marie Franklin. She runs the Common Ground Theater Company, and recently also had a director, I don't know quite what to call it, gig with the Old Globe Theater. And she's a longtime San Diego actress. I've had the pleasure of working with her up at New Village Arts, and we've been wanting to work together for a long time. So it was a no-brainer to ask her. It was a no-brainer to ask Ernie, but it just took my brain a while to come around. When I asked Ernie, it so happened that Ernie had been a neighbor of Rob Thorsen back in the day. Yeah. Rob Thorsen and his trio back here with Richard Sellers and Alexander Anderson. Yeah. We are privileged, you are privileged, I am privileged to have them here, as you will hear. Just as a quick side note, my grandmother, the mother of my mom out here, lived across the street from Rob Thorsen. So I knew him from the time I was a little boy. So anyway, things come so full circle. They happen when they're supposed to. And here we are to celebrate coming out of the pandemic and centuries of resilience in this country. So without further ado, let's get to the program and some wonderful poetry and music. Yolanda Franklin will start us off. She'll tell you what she's doing. The poet she's going to do a piece of, you heard at the Biden inauguration. But she wrote this actually in 2020 at the beginning of the pandemic. And now we're coming out of it. And I think the words will resonate with you very much. Enjoy the show, everybody.
The Miracle of Mourning by Amanda Gorman. I thought I'd awaken to a world in mourning, heavy clouds crowding, a society storming, but there's something different on this golden morning, something magical in the sunlight, wide and warming. I see a dad with a stroller taking a jog. Across the street, a bright-eyed girl chases her dog. A grandma on a porch fingers her rosary. She grins as her young neighbor brings her groceries. While we might feel small, separate, and all alone, our people have never been more closely tethered. The question isn't if we will weather this unknown, but how we will weather this unknown together. So on this meaningful morn, we mourn and we mend. Like light, we can't be broken, even when we bend. As one, we will defeat both despair and disease. We stand with healthcare heroes and all employees, with families, libraries, schools, waiters, artists, businesses, restaurants, and hospitals hit hardest. We ignite, not in the light, but in lack thereof. For it is in loss that we truly learn to love. In this chaos, we will discover clarity. In suffering, we must find solidarity. 4, it's our grief that gives us our gratitude, shows us how to find hope if we ever lose it. So ensure that this ache wasn't endured in vain. Do not ignore the pain. Give it purpose. Use it. Read children's books. Dance alone to DJ music. Know that this distance will make our hearts grow fonder. From a wave of woes, our world will emerge stronger. We'll observe how the burdens braved by humankind are also the moments that make us humans kind. Let every dawn find us courageous, brought closer, heeding the light before the fight is over. When this ends, we'll smile sweetly, finally seen. In testing times, we became the best of beings. Thank you.
Dreams by Langston Hughes. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow.
That was beautiful. I love that part at the end where it sounded like teardrops, like raindrops. Next, I am going to recite for you Caged Bird, one of my favorite poems by Maya Angelou. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are ties, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings of a fearful trill, of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on a distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we on our program, we didn't know which tune was going to come next. So Rob, which one is it going to be?
Baya, Thelonious Monk. Baya.
A Thelonious Monk tune coming up. And Ernie, you're on deck with your next piece.
So song is first?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Can I just sit here and enjoy?
Heck yeah. Why don't we feature Richard on it? Maybe have him do the first solo.
I love Ernie. I love Ernie.
Sure. I love working with you.
Okay.
America Not Racist by Ernie McCray. To the premise that America is not racist, I can hear my mother say, "You could have fooled me." With all that sweeping and dusting and mopping she did at AT&T with her Howard University college degree, around 66 years after slavery, Jim Crow then at the helm of black votes not mattering, a complaint still alive today in the USA. And it shouldn't take much in the form of imagination to decipher what, say, a Cherokee might have to say on the genocide his folks suffered at the hands of the nation's settlers, not to mention that indigenous tribes remain colonized and set aside, forever decrying the desecration of their sacred sites and being mascotized into a multi-million-dollar enterprise featuring unflattering Chief Wahoo kind of caricatures sewn onto caps and hats and jerseys, donned by fans chanting, "Whoa, whoa, whoa," and tomahawk chopping, unsensitized to the proud people they're dehumanizing with their playful war cries. That's racism in the sight of loving eyes. And how can the same not be said in response to the shame regarding folks of Asian descent being stigmatized by ignorant misunderstandings and vicious lies that tie them to the spread of a deadly disease? And what about how Native Hawaiians are mostly portrayed as laid back and happy-go-lucky in movies and TV? How Muslims and Jews have been looked down upon as a rule through much of the nation's history? How paper towels were thrown to Puerto Ricans who needed shelter from the heavy torrential rains and flooding accompanying the crushing winds of Maria, a Category 5 hurricane. What else other than racism could possibly explain Mexican children being caged under a bridge in El Paso, or American-born Latinos being told to go back to Mexico for speaking Espanol? How is all of this not evidence that racism is rooted in America's very soul, like a cancer that's metastasized out of control? And the bigger question is, how can denying that it exists allow us to get rid of it? Oh, we need answers. Wait.
Right on.